Hey, it's Thursday, October 20th. This is This Non-Religious Life. This week, we're going to talk about the New Apostolic Reformation, C. Peter Wagner, Rick Perry, and even little Kevin Smith. And we're back, man, so stick with us.
Jesus got out here.
I thought I was a good Christian.
Jesus died on a cross. I go to church every Sunday. Jesus got out here. Then I read this. It says Jesus died on a cross for a rotten hooker.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday. I'm a very religious person.
I thought I was a good Christian.
The very lies the serpent told to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes.
Hey everybody, it is Thursday, October 20th, This Non-Religious Life. I'm your host Ken. With me we have, at a great distance from where I am, Bob and Jason.
How's it going?
Hey, how you do?
Don't you love living in the future? It's awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? We are literally like 2,600 miles from each other right now. The future is awesome.
Awesome. Now
so
if we just have the future edit this video together once it's we'll be happy.
Yeah, right. So it's been a while, almost a month.
Yeah.
It has been
At
too
least.
long.
I thought Bob was gonna flip out and kill somebody.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to kill anybody.
Not yet.
So, as a bunch of people know, I'm in Los Angeles now. Really interesting. Down the street, if I go down to the street, like I'm going to the metro, which is like a couple blocks away, I can totally see the Space Vatican. The headquarters of Scientology is right there.
I have a funny picture when I went to D.C. of like myself pointing at the L. Ron Hubbard house, pointing and mocking and laughing, trying to do my best, like.
Yeah, I know where that is. That's like right at DuPont Circle. It's like like 20th or 22nd and O or something like that.
That should be we should do like a new photo series of like us like pointing with disdain or mock amusement at various I don't know, institutions.
Yeah,
that would be
this place is gigantic. It's huge, and it's got a gigantic like big sign that says Scientology across it. I can see it from like maybe 7 blocks away. Over everything else.
That would be, like that would all be like funny if it weren't for the fact that Scientology is a scary ass cult.
Yeah.
Like that's the part that we're like, aha, it's so funny, they're so silly, and then you're like, oh fuck, no, they're really a scary ass cult.
They're all.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Jay's like, I love them, they're great. What did a Scientologist ever do to you?
Ray Comfort's around here somewhere, and
Oh,
I'm gonna
awesome.
have him sign my copy of Origin of Species.
That'd be awesome.
I'm going to. Gotta find him. He's out in like Long Beach or Huntington Beach or something like that.
I think it's Huntington Beach. But I
Yeah,
could be wrong about that.
which isn't far from here.
Oh my gosh, Ray Comfort. He
Yeah.
The funny thing about it is I bet you could get him to do it and he'll in all earnestness like sign it like, oh thanks, here you go, like here's your autographed copy of my introduction to Origin of a Species, and really think he's done something. And in fact he won't realize you're mocking him.
Yeah. I've heard he's a really nice guy. But,
Yeah.
I bet
and I'm sure he
he's-
is. I'm sure, like, in all earnest, he's very nice. But, God, is he... Just a space cadet, man.
Yeah.
He's the banana man.
It's funny that he said space cadet and sounded like a robot. That was.
The future's
You've
not
learned my
perfect.
secret.
No, the
So I'm looking
future
through
is
all the
when
notes that
Microsoft buys it.
I'm looking through all the show notes that I assume Bob has compiled here. And I just saw the one about the Westboro Baptist Church.
No, I put those up there. Bob just replied to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jason got this together.
Okay, well, good job, because this is the definition of irony right here.
It's awesome.
For anyone who hasn't been following the Westboro Baptist Church, they said that they were going to protest Steve Jobs' funeral. But at the bottom of the tweet, it said, via Twitter for iPhone.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome. It's just...
I don't know if they got the irony of that or not.
Well, they did, because they went out and sent out another tweet saying that God invented the iPhone, not Steve Jobs.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They did. It was God's work that invented the iPhone.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Not Steve Jobs.
Oh my God, those people.
Yeah. They're pretty good. So I just wanted to go over that really quick, but
that has to just display their level of ignorance. It or I don't know, like, are there literally blinders on them when you see them out in public? Because that's what it seems like in all of their actions.
Well, I mean, because when I talked to him, when I did that interview with him way back when, it was impossible to actually talk to him, to actually have somewhat of a conversation with him, because it was nothing but, this is what I say over and over, and there's nothing else other than this is what I say.
A broken record.
Yeah. And so when you try to talk to them and say, well, why is that? Their thought process doesn't go past God's, the Bible says so. God, it's like the epitome of everything that we talk about on this show. With, like, it's hard to argue with somebody who believes, has faith. Because they rely on the Bible, and you can't just rely on the Bible, because there's.
Isn't there a funny Isaac Asimov quote? I think it's Asimov who said it, where he's talking. I forget the exact quote exactly, but Asimov is they're talking about faith and how it's inadequate, in that when you look for answers to things about life in the universe, if you just say God did it, Asimov was like, and details? Can I? Well, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
I want to know more. Like, we should know some details in that. And God did it it's a cop out.
Yeah.
That's funny. I came across a little comic strip a couple days ago, and it had 2 panels, and it was the teleological argument in, like, theory and in practice. And the first one's like, well, physics looks like it was designed by something, and we could call that something God. And the second one is, well, physics looks like it was designed by something, therefore the Southern Methodist Episcopalian Wesleyan Church is correct.
Oh my gosh. They yeah. Oh, so speaking of Westboro Baptist, I know this is a little off skew, but it's relevant. You'll see. Have you guys seen Red State?
Not yet.
Holy crap, was that good?
Was it good?
Yeah, it was great. It was really, really good. It was one of the scariest movies I've seen all year.
Really?
And it's because there's a group in Red State called the 5 Points Church, and they're sort of a parallel of the Westboro Baptist, and they are full of hate and they're just vile, despicable people, and the whole movie is done so well, and it really keeps you. It's really good, and it's like, we'll come back to all this in it'll come full circle. You'll see where I'm going with this, but so they're so well portrayed in the movie, and it's very good. You should go see it, and it's sort of an illustration of how religion and faith can go off the rails and allow people to do horrible things to other people. And we're talking about reason over faith and evidence over faith and science. The only awesome thing that I had going on while you guys were in Iceland and LA was I went to Lynchburg and I went and saw Richard Dawkins talk for the Magic of Reality book tour, and it was great. And one of the things he keeps talking about, and this is like the whole point of his book, was there's a cat. One of the things he keeps talking about for the whole purpose of his book is if you look around, like all the stuff that science teaches is really great. Like that's magic in and of itself, of a much different kind, and it doesn't require faith. It looks at evidence and asks questions like why, and it's completely a mindset where God did it is utterly inadequate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. So one of the great I've been reading the book, and one of the really the book is geared for like a younger audience. So when he explains the science stuff in it, like there's a whole chapter on elements.
Skateboards.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a whole chapter on like the periodic table of the elements, and it's just how about like elements are made of neutrons and protons and electrons swimming around, right? But then like he ends the chapter and he shows like there's like a picture of like dust mites, and he's like here are these animals, these dust mites, and they're so small that you have to see them with an electron microscope, and those dust mites are made of cells which are even smaller than that, and then the cells themselves are made of molecules which are even smaller bits, and then those molecules are made of even smaller bits, the atoms, and the atoms themselves are made of smaller bits that we call neutrons and protons, and we keep dividing the universe into smaller and smaller bits, and it tells us a little bit more about it, and the Bible doesn't say anything about neutrons and protons or the atomic structure of elements or the cellular structure of living tissue, and it doesn't have anything to say about the internal combustion engine, and it doesn't have anything to say about the germ theory of disease and washing your hands before surgery or lots of other things that are really, really useful. All the Bible really has to say is it demonstrates the level of knowledge that people had at that time, which we're far and away much further along than that. And if the Bible was really a truly divinely inspired document from an all-knowing God, wouldn't there be those important things in there that we know now that we didn't know then? Like, wouldn't God have said, like, hey, disease is caused by germs, and you can save a lot of lives if you wash your hands? And
how would we have the plague?
Yeah. But you see what I mean? Like the Bible demonstrates it as a divinely inspired document, or supposedly divinely inspired document. All it demonstrates is that what people in the Bronze Age knew about science, which was nothing.
Yeah.
And look at all we've found out since then. None of which was taken on faith, and none of that we'd have known if you'd have said, "Well, God did it." All right, that's enough. Stop looking.
And we learned that the response time for the GPS for the neutrons that, or the neutrinos that were faster than light.
Are you talking about that?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean that's an important question that has yet to be hashed out. But I read something that one guy who wasn't a collaborator with her, he was like one of the outside researchers asked to look at the experiment. He thinks he found a systematic error, which has to do with a relativistic what do they call that? Not a relativistic error, but a relativistic correction because of the movement of the GPS.
Yeah.
That's actually recording the. I don't know, but he thinks he may have found basically a systematic error to account for the 60 nanoseconds. But the researchers said that they accounted for relativistic errors in their experiment. So he may have found it. They may have already accounted for it. It's still up in the air, but
yeah.
science has that way of hashing things out.
Yeah. I was really excited about that, because like that's one of those discoveries, like if it does hash out and end up being that they found something traveling faster than the speed of light, that, I mean, that's such a huge day for our scientific understanding that rewrites physics as we know it, and it's awesome.
Well, but this is my point though. It's not going to rewrite physics. I think that's a overstatement. It's going to refine our understanding of physics, and I don't think even if we can't figure out where those 60 nanoseconds came from, I think what's going to happen is because you can't, if you went faster than the speed of light, that would imply that you could move backwards in time, and if you could move backwards in time, then that would it would violate causality, which I don't know how you could do that. And granted, I'm not, but something simple as violating causality would cause a lot of problems. In my mind, what I think would be a possible solution that they may find, I don't know, I'm not working on it, but would be that the speed of light would have to remain constant. It was just the distance would have to be shorter. And so the neutrinos were actually, in the straight line distance from A to B was actually not the shortest route. And there's a part of that I know I say you should never say this, that it makes sense, but it makes sense a little bit in that when you're dealing, there's one thing is like that I found out from working with high voltages is that how when you do when you're figuring a voltage between 2 points A and B, right? It's figured over the distance. But if you get really, really high voltages, like really, really, really high voltages, sometimes the arc or the spark will occur. It takes the long way around. So what I'm saying is distance isn't always the absolute thing that we think it is, and I think it's probably going to turn out that distance is malleable the same way that time wasn't constant. Does that make sense?
Somewhat.
I think so.
but if you allow that, then the speed of light can remain constant, right? So you wouldn't change the speed of light, distance. The distance you travel over time is dependent upon velocity, and velocity would be the speed of light, which would be constant. So the only way you could ever change the if for a given time and a constant velocity, the only thing that you can change now is distance. And we think that the distance between me and Jason is always is for instance is constant. We're like we can measure that every time we measure it, it'll be the same. And what I'm saying is there's probably a way to measure it where it's not the same.
Yeah.
He
took a lot of drugs before coming in.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, it's interesting because, if you're dealing with that, then you're dealing with, literally folding reality and, space-time.
Right.
And then, yeah.
You're moving through space-time, and so time can change, so can space. We've always assumed that space would be, shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Well, that might not be true.
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, back to my circular reasoning. The Dawkins talk was really good, and just recently he appeared on the Bill O'Reilly show, and he's shucking his book a little bit. And you remember the last time Dawkins was on O'Reilly? That wasn't at the time when O'Reilly was like, "Tide goes in, tide goes out."
Yeah.
You can't
That was Dave
explain.
Silverman.
Was it Silverman
That was Silverman.
who said that? I thought it was O'Reilly that said that.
Oh, it was O'Reilly that said it, but it was Silverman that was on the show.
Oh, okay.
But he's been on O'Reilly before.
Yeah.
It was like in the interview they talk about it a little bit, how it's been 2 years since Dawkins was on, and they said that they left it at the point where O'Reilly believes in a God and Jesus, and obviously Dawkins doesn't, and where they left it was O'Reilly was like, well, show me some evidence that God doesn't exist, which is kind of a crazy thing to ask. So anyway, they picked up the discussion again, and O'Reilly had something to say that I think is worth considering. And and I think he's wrong in that he says that he's kind of making the case that religion is a good thing, and his point is that he considers religion a constraining effect on society. Like, if you believe all of these tenets of your religion, then you will adhere to things like thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not steal, and you'll obey the Ten Commandments. And he calls it a constraining effect on culture. It keeps us from doing bad things, essentially. And then he holds up Stalin and Pol Pot and Mao and says, like, they were all atheists. That's the one thing they had in common. And, of course, Dawkins sort of dismisses him. But I think that O'Reilly's argument that religion is a constraining force in society is absolutely wrong. I think that is a false premise, in that religion is an empowering force in society. It allows you to kill your neighbor because he doesn't have the same religion as you. It allows you to do horrible, horrible things.
But it also allows the powers, the people who hold the power, to use religion to control people instead of doing negative, evil things of individuals. Like, say, if I was a Christian, not necessarily gives me justification to kill somebody, but it gives the government figures, the powers, who hold the same beliefs, the ability to control me and say, well, because you have to give us your money, you have to give us, your firstborn, you have to give us whatever, because it is our faith, it is the way God wanted it to.
Right, but I agree with you. I think you're absolutely right, and I think that it isn't a constraining force the way O'Reilly thinks of it, in that we're all going to, because of religion, we're all going to get along and play nice.
Yeah.
No, I disagree. I think that is a false premise. Because of religion, it allows you to kill your neighbor because your pastor told you to, and he's in charge, and because religion teaches you to obey those authority figures. Why should we kill these guys? God said to do it. Well, that's good enough, yeah. And horrible things happen that way, which was kind of sort of, I guess, maybe one of the takeaway points in Red State, right? They were killing homosexuals because they believed that they were Satan's agent on Earth. I mean, that was,
and that's actually a real world quote. I mean, there's been religious figures who've said that.
I know. I mean, this is taken in the movie. It's taken to an extreme.
Yeah.
But there are people who feel this way. There are people who think this way, and they're given license to do so by their religious beliefs.
Well, Jesus Camp shows those people.
Yeah, I know that's.
I mean, and that's real.
That's the second scariest.
One of the
movie
scariest movies ever. Yeah. With religion being a constraining force on society, I think O'Reilly's both right and wrong simultaneously. He's right in that it is a constraining force. It does create social cohesion, but he's wrong because he's oversimplifying the fact. It is exactly as you say. Like it's divisive in that it creates self and other distinctions. And as soon as you start having those self and other distinctions, it's easy to kill those others.
Absolutely.
It's no different than nationalism or any sort of like divisive, genderism, racial typographies. It's very easy. Once you start drawing lines in the sand, which are based on almost nothing at all, it's very easy to say it's us versus them.
Right.
And religion has done that time and time again.
Isn't one of the so right? I've been listening to a lot of Robert M. Price, and he always comes back to time and time again about like when in the Bible when it says in the Old Testament thou shalt not kill, it means thou shalt not kill other Israelites, not
exactly
not anybody.
Because thou shalt not kill. I mean, in the same book, if you're reading either Exodus or Deuteronomy, where the Ten Commandments appear, it's full of them killing tons of people.
Right.
Like they're constantly killing everyone. You know, in Deuteronomy, there's a whole genocide in Canaan.
Right, and then the even if and we've talked about the slaughter of the Canaanites, but even if you say like, all right, well, they didn't really kill them all, it wasn't a complete genocide, but they still were killing the Canaanites because God said to do it. And then William Lane Craig comes up with it like, oh well, we can't judge the morality of God because He decides who goes where, and He made us all, so God, it's okay for God to tell you to kill somebody. Well, and how do you know that God told you to kill somebody? Like, who's talking to God? And was I there too? But and then it's exactly what you said, Jason. Like the guy says, "Well, look, I'm talking to God. He said to go do this, so you better go do it." And oh, I believe you. And they go do it, and these horrible things happen.
Yep.
We're like,
Dr. Price.
yep.
To quote Dr. Price, "What a tangled web we weave when first we learn to believe."
Yeah.
You know. And I think that's true. If you start falling into lockstep, which is what religion teaches, you know, you can, in the end, justify just about anything.
Well, I think that this I think this would be a good segue into sort of one of the next topics was I thought it would be good to sort of revisit dominionism again because Rick Perry is he just won't go away.
Well, his wife's taken up for him, though.
Really?
Well, there's two things about Rick Perry in the news right now. One, his wife saying that the media is beating him up because of his religious views. And two, that something came out saying that they're doing a secret campaign to attack Mormonism because Romney's Mormon.
Well, in that regards, Mormonism is just as silly as whatever religious beliefs Rick Perry has, in my mind, at least to my opinion. So they're all on equally bad footing.
But only one has a farm that has a bad name.
Oh my God! All right. To be fair, though, he didn't name it that. That's not a name.
But he allowed it to stay.
Yeah.
That was like if you came up to my door and put something on my door, and I went, I didn't put it there.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, the funny thing about Rick Perry is he's a Methodist, which they're not that crazy. They're just, I mean,
he's crazy.
They're Episcopalians who are slightly more Protestant than Catholic. You know, they're fairly mainstream, but he is out there.
Yeah, well, right, and he's got these ties with the new Apostolic Reformation, which are these are the Dominionist guys. Like these guys are scary, and they think of some crazy shit. Like really, they're but they couch it in these like more comfortable terms. Like literally the new Apostolic Reformation. They have and they're all based on a strange reading of Ephesians
4:11. Yeah.
Right. So you have in the New Apostolic Reformation, you have there are apostles and there are prophets, and you have to be, I don't know, I think there's other roles, like maybe you're a teacher.
Apostles, prophets, teachers, preachers, and let me pull up I have it right here. And evangelists.
Okay. And you can be all of them, or none of, or you have to be. I guess you have to be like at least be one. You have to like fulfill one of those roles.
You're one of them, yeah.
But you can be more, but you have to at least be one. And so the guy who founded the New Apostolic Reformation is this scary old guy called what is his name? C. Peter Wagner. And he is crazy. And part of their beliefs are that they believe literally that all of the problems in the world are caused because of demonic possession. And his wife is named, I think it's Doris Wagner. She is like in the vein of Bob Larson, an exorcist. She goes around exorcising demons out of people, but they don't call
Let's get him on the show.
They don't call it exorcism. They call it deliverance because it sounds better.
And there's banjos involved.
Right. Yeah. No shit. But I don't know. I was reading about this this Peter Wagner guy, and he is just like crazy. Like he blames there's like in an interview he was on Fresh Air with Terry Gross, and in an interview with her he was saying that the tsunami in Japan was caused because the former emperor of Japan had sex with the sun goddess, and he believes that in the literal sense. Like that is the literal thing that happened, is that Emperor Hirohito,
what a lucky bastard,
had sex with the sun god. Right, sounds good, right? Sun goddess.
Hey, whoa.
Awesome. She's hot.
It'd be hot.
But it was because of that and then he says God could have stopped the tsunami, but he chose not to because Hirohito messed up and had sex with the sun goddess when he shouldn't have. He should have been out praising Jesus. And that's horrible. But what I think is really crazy, like one, his beliefs are horrible, but he really thinks that this guy actually did it, and he thinks that people that are oppose them are possessed by demons. You like me as an atheist. If I said yes, I am an atheist, he's like, well, you're obviously possessed by a demon, because you wouldn't say that. If you weren't possessed by a demon, you wouldn't say you were an atheist, and you would be, bathed in the light of the blood of Jesus. Which I always thought that was a weird phrase. You're bathed in the blood of the Lamb. No, don't do that.
I'm vegan. I can't do that.
Like, I don't want to be bathed in anybody's blood. To blade.
The question I have is that what kind of condom do you use when you with the sun god?
Yeah, right.
Or do you?
Yeah.
An asbestos one.
But
That's the kind.
so if you haven't looked, the C. Peter Wagner guy, he has a church. They're in like a online school. It's like leadership missionaries or something like that. There's like this online school, and you can get a doctorate for the low price of $6,000.
Oh Jesus!
For six, and I did the
No,
math.
really?
I looked at how many credit hours and how much it costs, and for about $6,000 you could get a doctorate from his school that he founded. And I thought was funny on the bio page for his wife, she has a doctorate from the school she established.
Of course.
Like,
I bet that was the hardest course she's ever taken.
But I'm like, how disingenuous is that they have, they're putting PhD after their name because they have PhDs from institutions they established. Can you do that?
We should do that right now. Starting right.
I guess. Yeah.
I think all three of us.
I don't know. I wonder if it's her own signature on the
Yeah.
on the diploma.
That'd be awesome. Here's my diploma. Is that your signature? Wait a minute.
It's a diploma I gave myself. Yeah, that's awful. But they have courses, and I wanted to see like what it was, like what it is that the New Apostolic Reformation's got going on. And this apparently is like the for lack of a better term, education arm of the New Apostolic Reformation. To be in the New Apostolic Reformation and fulfilling one of those roles, if I wanted to be a prophet, I would just go to this school, pay $6,000, and get my PhD in prophecy. Wow. And then I'm a prophet of God, and I can say whatever I want.
You know what? We should do another Indiegogo fundraiser and send one of us to.
Yeah, right.
I would go. I would do it.
It's like send me. I was thinking about, because they have a lot of the online classes, and which is funny too, is because just to like audit the class, because they have an option where you can audit it, just if you wanted to like see what it was, it costs more if you wanted to
Really?
just audit it. Yeah, I think they're doing that as a way to steer people away from the like just checking it out.
Yeah.
Which again, that's a red flag, right?
Yeah, right.
I always thought when you audit a course, it's motherfucking free. Like
No.
like, hey dude, I'm just gonna sit in your class and you know, take notes and listen. As long as it's okay with the instructor, right? And he doesn't have to grade your papers. He doesn't give a shit. But no, in this instance, it costs more to audit the class than it costs to actually take the class.
That's weird. I audited classes all the time when I was in college. You know, I had friends who were professors, ex-professors, and I used to go and sit in on their lectures for classes I never took. And
Right.
it never cost me anything.
I know I thought that was really strange that auditing the class was more than actually taking the class. And
You can audit courses from Yale on iTunes, and
Yeah.
it's free. You know, and that's fucking Yale.
yeah, this whole thing is really shady.
But when is it not?
Yeah, I know.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but man, that's what we should do is think of our own institution. We could be the first graduating class.
I mean,
Yes.
we
I'll
could.
sign all our diplomas.
Wait, how about we'll do it this way? I'll sign Jason's, and Jason's will sign Ken's, and Ken's will sign mine. That way, it doesn't have like
It doesn't have our names on there twice.
it has that veneer of
Yeah.
authenticity.
We could do it.
It makes me so mad that these people are running around there and they're putting PhD after their names. That's
Insane.
almost as bad as Hovind's PhD dissertation from was he
God,
from
yeah.
Liberty or Patriot?
Oh yeah.
It's what, like
Liberty, I
3
think it was.
pages or something like that?
No, it's more than 3 pages. It's
Is it?
Yeah, it's fairly
I thought
long.
it was super short.
No, it's long, but it's really bad, and it, like it literally has like the what I have is basically like a Xerox copy that's been digitized, so it's like an Adobe file, but you can see where he's like taped a chart into the page with like Scotch tape, and it's full of grammatical errors and spelling mistakes, and like it aspires to be really long in that there's like several sections, like several chapters and sections, and he lists like, I don't know, 12 or so, but there's only actually 4. He never finished it. I don't know. It's really bad. But he puts PhD after his name.
Yeah. He also taught high school science for how long? He says like 12 years or something like that. But
That's 12
what
years too long.
What he means by that is that he homeschooled his kids.
Oh, really? Is that what it is? He didn't actually work for the school district?
No, he was never a school teacher.
Oh my
He homeschooled
God.
his kids. So he says he taught high school science.
These guys are so dishonest.
Yeah. I mean, they're hucksters by trade, right? You know, like they're selling a product that doesn't exist. I think it's funny that that school we were talking about a second ago, that's totally a page out of the Scientologist book, man. Like, you too can be a prophet for the low price of $6,000.
Well, it's like
All you gotta
being-
do is buy these books.
Yeah, like Bob Larson, you can become an exorcist for how much was it? It was like god awful
$5,000,
amount.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, 4,000. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, these guys.
What else is new?
So, speaking of Rick Perry, did you guys see that Larry Flynn put out a $1 million bounty on any if anyone can prove anything about Rick Perry possibly having a sexually illicit affair?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the logical end to this whole thing is that he'll get caught with like, I don't know, somebody doing like gay midget porn or something. He'll be in like a gay midget porn ring
Doing coke off their back.
like he'll be involved in something like that That's how it can only end in my mind. In the movie in my head, that's how it goes.
Well, he donated back. It was like back in the 90s. I want to say it was like 96 or something. He donated like a couple $1,000s to what is the largest like porn distributor in the country.
Crazy.
I wish I could find it. It was like $10,000 or something like that.
He's just building his library. Come on.
Yeah.
I want to give back to those who have given me so much. Oh God. Yeah, I read that, and it was so good. But that was last month. I think, yeah. God. There's been so much that's happened in the last little while.
Yeah.
The first Catholic bishop charged with sex abuse cover-up. Come on, that's excellent.
Yeah, but that is kind of I think it's important, but we should at least make the point that the guy that's being charged didn't actually commit the.
Yeah, he wasn't a pederast himself.
Right. But he failed to report.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
that's why I said he charged with sex abuse cover-up.
Right.
Not sex abuse itself.
So what happened to the person who did the sex abuse?
He probably got relocated to another diocese. Yeah. As is SOP for the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I know, right?
What are you eating?
Shh.
It's what is it?
We got crackers, cream cheese, vegan, cheese, vegan, cucumbers, and
Vegan cucumbers,
and then fake meat. It's our breakfast.
I asked him what was for breakfast, and he said cucumbers and crackers, and I thought he was joking.
Oh man!
I told him we never joke about food around
making me
here.
hungry. It's 7 a.m. here, just so you guys know. If I'd say that again. I haven't eaten breakfast yet.
I haven't had coffee yet. So
I had coffee
it was
right
it was
here.
funny when I was at the Dawkins talk, one of the things that they some guy was like sort of like warming up the crowd for him. He had a guy that was talking ahead of time, and they had a picture of Dawkins and they called him the affable atheist. And I was like, well, that's so much better than the angry atheist, because that's where I'm going. I don't want to be the angry atheist. So I'm aspiring to be less angry.
Well, that's going to mess up your 3D printer action figure. Then.
Yeah.
We talked on the Talking Dead last couple weeks back that we are going to make action figures for everybody of zombie popcorn, and he was going to be the angry atheist.
I think
Well,
I think a
Kung
good
Fu grip and like
and the secret sign of the devil.
Woo!
yeah. And
But I think a good
motorized scowl action.
I think we need Ken with like a like standing tall with a laptop in one hand, like doing the benediction with another.
That'd be awesome. They could be the angry atheist PhD action figure.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, but when I saw affable atheist, I was like, oh my God, they're on to me. I felt like they were really talking to me.
You're like, ooh, it's like touch the TV.
Yeah. But it was a good talk.
Yeah, if you can go to our This Non-Religious Life Facebook page and see a photo of Happy Bob with Richard Dawkins.
It's a pretty awesome little photo.
Yeah.
I thought it was very cool. I saw it a couple of days after it went up because I was offline for a few days. It's been crazy out here. Who Who would have thought driving 2,500 miles and then relocating into a new house would be not the easiest thing in the world? With 2 cats.
So I found it took me a while to get to it because you would think these things would be easy, but these NAR guys, they have like really crappy websites. Mm-hmm. But the Wagner, the C. Peter Wagner, his school is the Wagner Leadership Institute, and you can from there you can take their classes that are gearing up for 2011 are they fall into categories of apostolic courses, business finance, healing, and prophetic courses. And you can take PP 700, Exploring the Nature and Gift of Dreams, or PP 701.
Wait. Is this the Casey Riley Center? What is it?
No, this is, yeah, I know, right? It does sound like, you're talking about the Edgar Casey Institute? Yeah, it sounds like that. That would be another great place to get a PhD from. That'd be awesome. But all right, this in 701 is Basic Training for the Prophetic Ministry.
I want to take the spiritual warfare course.
Have you been called by God to be a prophet? Learn how to develop your calling and increase the strength of your gifts from someone who has given hundreds of prophetic words worldwide.
Oh, man.
See, and that's the thing. Like that was one of the things that like Wagner was talking about in that interview was he was talking about like, oh, you know, in our cause we have prophets. These are people who are prophets of the Lord, and I was like, how do I get to be a prophet? I want to be a prophet, and now I know I could go and take courses and learn to be a prophet, and then I can say any shit I want. Well, although he did have a way out of it though, where he said like. There's some scripture verse where it says like prophecy has to be scrutinized or something like that, and then and not everything that comes out of these people's mouths is prophecy. So really it was just a way to say like, yeah, we have a bunch of people that say some shit, and then we pick and choose what we like, and then we say that that's prophecy, and then the rest we ignore.
Oh, I was gonna say that maybe the scrutinizing element is hindsight.
Oh, I'm sure hindsight's in it too. I mean, yeah, right. And then if something does come true, then we can look back and go, "Oh yeah, he said that. He's a prophet."
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, I got a book about prophets when I was in Iceland. It's the witch hunts in Iceland. It's all about the persecutions and the burnings, and all driven by religious factors. That was pretty bad. And they were all prophets too.
Are fascinating. I used to have a copy of the Malleus Maleficarum, which is the medieval like witch hunting handbook.
Yeah,
it told you all about how to like find witches, how to try them, how to execute them.
Right, and this is the constraining effect of religion upon society.
Exactly. Well, I mean, come on. Thou shalt not permit a witch to live. It's right there in the Bible.
Well, I mean, shouldn't have become a witch. I mean, what the fuck? Yep.
These guys are just angry.
This is the build up that I'm having a month off from the show. It's just like those guys.
Yeah.
I'll shake my fist.
Oh man. All right. So again, so here's the constraining effect of religion. Did you send that link about the pearls and their book, How to Train Up a Child?
No.
Did you see that news story, Ken?
No.
So there's this family in Oregon, and they're a scary cult looking people, and they have a
you're talking about the yeah.
They wrote a book called How to Train Up a Child. And it is they have no experience as child psychologists or no education or training as behaviorists, nothing. They're ministers. And they wrote a book called How to Train Up a Child. And apparently the title is a reference to some biblical scripture. And they're literally like spare the rod, spoil the child type of folks. And in the book, it gives you instructions about how to go to the hardware store and buy a 1/4-inch tubing and make a rod out of it, and this is what you're going to use to beat your kids. And in the past, I don't know, maybe year or so, there have been instances of police get called out on a domestic to somebody's house. The kid is now dead because the parents have beaten them to death. And what do they find in their house? The parents were following the guidelines of this book, How to Train Up a Child.
The link should be in.
Oh no!
Yeah.
We lost Ken.
We sure did.
There he's back.
There should be a link in the Facebook to both of y'all that I sent. There's a CNN video.
Yeah. Yeah, and they interview the ministers and then I went and I looked for this book on Amazon. And it's there. You can buy it for like $7, and they're not getting any of my money.
No.
But and then I was reading the reviews of it, and most people like I don't know. It had like 2,000 reviews. Most of them were negative. The ones that were like the 5-star reviews on Amazon were because the person hated the book so much that they were willing to give it a 5-star review just to get noticed, so that their review would be like on the top. And most people were like, oh my God, this is a manual for child abuse, and which is probably true. And there were some people defending it, but like the most telling review was this person. I imagine they're a young person. And they said, like, my mom read this book and she used these techniques on me when I was growing up. And right now I am a practicing Catholic, and I am. He said that they were, fairly accomplished. And then he was like, he says like he's doing all these great things with his life, which I imagine would be like some people would take as evidence for
that
these techniques
yeah.
work. And then he finishes the review that was like, I am emotionally scarred and abused. Do not do this. I am, okay, I've accomplished these things, but my life is hell because I'm full of self-loathing and just all of the scars that this has left on me. And I was like, wow, that's pretty
tough.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, then it goes back to what you were saying earlier with the Bill O'Reilly comment.
Yeah, right. Where's the constraint there? Yeah. That's license to beat your kids.
It's the constraint. It is constraint. It says in the Bible to do those things. It tells you that if your child is insolent and doesn't respect like authority, to kill them.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened. I mean,
and so this is why I was thinking, Bill O'Reilly is just wrong.
We should send that to Bill O'Reilly and ask him.
Where was the constraint? But of course he'll just point that out and say that, well, that's the actions of an individual, and then the actions of that individual and that individual. But he'll say that that's not indicative of the group as a whole.
Then let's point at other countries where when there's wars because of it.
Yeah.
Because those are not individuals.
That's perfectly indicative. It's maybe not exactly indicative, but that's godly behavior. God killed almost a couple dozen kids just for calling his prophet a bald asshole when he was probably, in fact, a bald asshole.
Yeah.
You better watch your tongue, boy.
Elijah was probably bald, and they said, "Hey, Baldy," and so a couple of bears came out and ate the kids.
That's just coincidence.
So, all right, back to the movie Red State. There's a scene in the movie Red State where Michael Parks as Abin Cooper, who's the Fred Phelps parallel, is delivering the sermon, and he's talking about Noah and the flood, and he says, and I mean, it's great. It's so well written, and it's so well delivered. He's really, really good. But he's talking about fearing God, and he was like, he says that God killed the entire world, man and beast, all except Noah and his family and the ones that he saved. And he was like, he killed them all. Does that sound like a loving God to you? That sounds like a God to be feared.
Yeah. But he was pissed. God was pissed. That's why he did it.
Yeah, well, how? Right. the world was full of wickedness. And by wicked, it was those that don't follow that particular brand of religion.
I just looked up this movie that you're talking about, and Kevin Smith made this?
Yes,
Shit,
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
Hey, Kevin Smith has been going around saying that it's the best movie he's ever done.
I agree. I think it is his best work.
He said that everything he's ever done has led up to this movie.
It's very good.
All right, I need to watch this now.
Yeah.
It's way good. It's available on DVD today.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it hits the streets today. And I think it's available for like digital download or on demand or some shit like that.
I'm sure.
But it's definitely worth checking out only because of the the Phelps parallels. And then of course the story goes that Kevin Smith tells this funny story that when they showed the movie, the Phelps clan showed up to protest them. And of course, in Kevin Smith's way, he was like, well, come on in. Here, I saved you some seats. Come on in. I want you to watch the movie. And he's like, and after the movie's over, you can get up on stage with me and tell me what you thought of the movie. I don't care. I'll give you a microphone. You can say whatever you want. And he said they left after 7 minutes. But he said
because they left because they didn't bring a pen and pad. They're like, oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, he said they left after 7 minutes, and when they left, they all autographed one of the protest signs and gave it to him.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's pretty amazing. That's something definitely you would hang up. Because I was just happy to interview Shirley Phelps.
Yeah.
But to have an autograph hate poster from her.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Come
right.
on.
Suitable.
What do you
for
do
free.
with an autograph poster from Westboro Baptist Church?
She's like the butterfly of hate. You know, she has all those.
Yeah. I noticed that when I saw pictures of them, did you see? They don't just hold up a sign.
They hold up four.
They have like little harnesses where like one dude can have like 8 signs
Yeah.
going at once, like one on his head, 2 on each arm.
That's why I said the butterfly, because they got the wings. It's just...
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Like, they have like specialized equipment to do that.
Yeah. So it makes it look like there's more of them.
Yeah.
But
They're so crazy.
we should try to... Because, I mean, they tour all the time. When they come back in, we should go do another interview with them.
I would
But
love
official this time, not just me on the street going, I don't know what I'm doing with the radio show yet, but I'm going to interview you.
that. Yeah. Oh, their hate speech is so
Awesome.
yeah.
It is awe-inspiring. Awesome is a good word for it.
Yeah.
It inspires awe in me, that's for sure.
They I'll give them some credit in that they are ideologically sound. I mean, they're off their fucking nut, but at least they stick to their guns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't ever hear them backpedaling or
Well, they're backpedaling. It's like with the iPhone thing.
Yeah.
It's not not really a backpedal. I mean, it is, but it's not to what we're used to, where people are like, "Well, no, what I really meant to say was," they're like, "No, God did this."
well, that right. What I mean, right? It's a consistent level of crazy. They're not backing away at all, right? They're committed.
It's just running straight forward.
I'd say the crazy is just about the only consistent thing they have going for them. Because I mean, I wouldn't even say they're ideologically consistent. They're all over the map on a lot of things, and they are just like
They actually have a platform
crazy
other
Christians. They pick and choose certain things from the Old Testament they want to abide by, but
Oh man.
than.
I don't know. I'm strangely fascinated by the fire and brimstone shit, man.
it's a train wreck, and you can't turn away from it. You have to watch it. You know,
But
it's scary as hell, but you have to watch it.
yeah. But all of these things where they're like believing in the power of God, believing in the power of prayer. It all comes down to magical thinking.
Yeah.
You have to allow that there's that there's magical events in the world, and that those events are guided by a divine being who is influenced by your prayers. So I don't know, it's just really strange. My friend, one of my friends, he's actually a researcher. We were talking about this, and he said, like, we were talking about the power of prayer, and he framed it in a way that I hadn't heard before. And what he said was, he was like, yeah, you know, when I'm doing an experiment in the lab, like, how would it work if I prayed for my experiment to work? Like, and then it did, and then God changed the laws of physics for my experiment to work, and he did it for me every time in a consistent manner. Then that would mean, like, somebody else goes out to reproduce the experiment, and it's not going to work for them because they didn't pray. But here it is, published work, you know, where I published the results of an experiment, but the experiment was successful because I prayed for it to be so, and God granted my prayers. Like, how's that going to work in the world? And then you have that situation like, all right, Jason, we're going to do an experiment, but step one is we pray. That's how you do science now.
It's not too far from that.
That's exactly their way of thinking. And power of prayer. It's magical thinking.
But it's been that way forever, because the other book that I got in Iceland was just about Iceland folklore. And you can see how religious teachings have made their way into their folklore, because there's this story which I won't go into great detail, but in it there's a cliff that these people go down, and they take a rope and they climb down and they harvest these birds, and that's what they eat because they're out in the middle of nowhere. But every time they would do it, the ropes would be cut and they would fall to their death and splatter on the ground. So they brought in a cleric, and the cleric blessed the ropes and climbed down there and found out that it was a big troll cutting the ropes because he didn't want them in their territory. But
this sounds like a level 10 cleric.
I know. It's very D&D, but the ropes didn't cut because the rope was blessed. And so the only time that you can actually climb down this cliff in this one area is if you go with blessed ropes. But what they did, they made a compromise, and they blessed the rest of the island except for that one area, so the trolls could have their place to live and everything else. Everybody else could harvest. But it's just funny how it's always going back to what you said, how it's all injected. It's like if you pray, it will solve everything.
Yeah.
And then that was a bad story, but there's reference to it. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, you know, hey, if you have a problem, what better way to solve it than to get a cleric, a level 10 cleric?
Level 10.
You know, he's much better than the level 1
with a
cleric.
+5 holy avenger.
Yeah.
Which I emailed that guy that emailed me about the other show. I haven't heard back from him yet.
He's been around, but he'll
All
get
right.
back to you.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
A level 10 cleric.
We have reached that point, guys.
Yeah.
I think we have, yeah. I was just looking at the time. Yeah. So we
Look
didn't
how
even touch on
relaxed
some of the
he
stuff here.
His hair's all fucked up. He's just
Yeah,
laying
look
back.
I'm tired, man. It's not even 7:30 here, okay? I've had a cat in my lap running around. I tried to drink black coffee to wake me up. It's not happening.
It
Have you
ain't
seen on your screen sometimes it'll be like Ken and then like little cat ears at the bottom.
Yeah. She's running back and forth in the middle of the room now. She's chasing something. I don't know. Cats are weird, man. I knew this was going to happen.
I know it's totally off
Exactly when I
topic.
sat down, I was like, Lily's going to get up in my lap and start, like, biting the computer screen or something.
There's a cartoon that's floating around where it has like a picture. It's a dog. It says man's best friend, and then it has a cat, and it says man's weird reclusive roommate who poops in a box.
That's me.
Exactly. Yeah. I got her up on the camera one last time. Hey. No, of course she's not going to come when I want her to come up here. All right, so I guess that's about it for
That's the show.
Today. That's the show.
Hey,
Right.
Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah, welcome back. We'll do it again next week.
Yes.
Yep, definitely. So
Website,
I'll try
phones.
not to be
everyone
late.
knows. I know. I feel out of practice here. As everyone knows, you can always. Did you? No, you didn't delete anything. Okay, good.
What?
You can always call if you have any comments, questions, you want us to cover something.
Still waiting on hate mail.
hate mail. Send it. You can
just
call
gonna-
the Zombie Popcorn Hotline, 757-337-2195. You can email us, nonreligious@zombie-popcorn.com. You can visit the Facebook page, facebook.com/thisnonreligiouslife. You can go to the website, zombie-popcorn.com, and you can watch the shows, back episodes. You can download all the episodes on iTunes. Send reviews. Please like us.
Write a review on iTunes, whether you love it or
Yeah.
hate it. It helps out.
If you check out our YouTube page, which I believe is just youtube.com/zombiepopcorn.
Well, you can just get it all from the website.
Yeah, it's all on the website.
That's just too many.
Check it out. Leave some reviews. Leave some feedback. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
This got out here.
I thought I was a good Christian.
Jesus died on a cross. I go to church every Sunday. This got out here. Then I read this. It says Jesus died on a cross for a rotten hooker.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday. I am a very religious person.
I thought I was a good Christian.
The very lies the serpent told to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spread confusion and promote lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spread confusion and promote lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spread confusion and promote lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spread confusion and promote lies. The gospel.